Hey guys, welcome back to the next episode of the Sweaty Palms podcast. I'm your host, Zoe Dillon, and today our guest is a good friend of mine, Bayleigh Hataway. Bayleigh is a manager for the artist Sarah Mootz here in Athens, Georgia. She's been managing Sarah for almost 2 years now, and she started back in March of 2020. Bayleigh just graduated from the University of Georgia with a degree in communication studies and a certificate from the music business program. She also works at the 40 Watt Club here, which is actually how we met. So thank you so much for coming on, Bayleigh.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I literally was about to say the same thing. I just want to start out by asking you kind of what made you want to work in the music industry.
Well, I've always been a huge music's always been like a really big part of my life, but I would say the first thing that made me realize that I wanted to, work in the music industry is I once met a friend and he was managing an artist at the time. And so I was at the music festival where his artist was playing a silent disco, and I got to kind of just see him do his thing, which was really cool. And I went behind the stage with them. It was like a really small stage, but still. And so I just, in that moment, I first was like, this is so cool. I thought I was the coolest person in the world. 19-year-old me was just like, oh my God. I don't know. It was really fun. But it really it gave me this overwhelming sense of belonging. And from that moment, I was like, man, I need to do this. And at the time I was like a business major. I was like in marketing, and was not going to do anything with music at all. I don't even think I knew what I was going to do. I was just, going to college. Right. But after that, I always in the back of my mind, I was like, man, I have to do something with music. For a while, I wanted to actually become a DJ and make music. So
wait, I didn't know this. Okay. It's a different side of you, Bayleigh. Wow. Yeah.
No, really, I downloaded a shit ton of sounds and got on GarageBand, and I would I would literally just play with it for hours and create the craziest drops. I could only do drops. I don't know anything about music really. I mean, I do, but making it
right.
At the time I just had no idea. So I just completely winged it and was making some really cool drops with some cool sounds that I found online.
Submit them to Blackberry. If you could somehow find a way to get in touch with his manager and just be like, hey, I've got these. He might want
I do
them
know someone who knows his manager.
You know what? Then you already are in, basically. You got one foot in. You got to do it. And then let me know how it goes.
I know. Yeah. But so I wanted to be a DJ for a little while, or make music. And that just didn't work out because I was like, I need to I don't know. It just didn't work out. I lost it. I was like, yeah, this is a little difficult for me. I don't know what I'm doing. And I didn't know how to find out how to do it. But it is something that I've always really wanted to do.
Right. Well, just, keep it on the back burner.
Yeah. It's back there. It maybe,
it might reappear later. Yeah. So you mentioned you had a friend that you got to see kind of what he did, what he's done, and it inspired you and realized this is the path you want to take. Can you talk a little bit more about who he is, how y'all met, that kind of thing?
So it's a funny story. He was we just met through Instagram. I'm pretty sure so his account followed me, and it was I think one of those follow unfollow kind of vibes. And anyways, so I followed him back, and it was, I just always watched his stories, and I was like, wow, he has a really cool life. I want to I want to be friends with him. So I just swiped up on one of his stories, and I was like, hey, you seem really cool. I think I said, you seem hella cool. Yes. Can we be friends? And he responded, and he was like, oh yeah, we can be best friends. And so then we kind of started just talking, and we're became friends. And it was a month before Imagine Music Festival, and this was back in 2018, so it was a while, or a while ago. And so he was like, yeah, I'm going. I was like, oh my God, I'm going. We should definitely meet up. So when we were there, or when I was there, we met up, and saw like a couple sets together, and I kind of just hung out with him, one of the nights, and it was really fun. And so his name is Glenn. I don't think I mentioned that yet, but we've just stayed in touch throughout the years. And he actually started his own management company, and he reached out to me and asking if I wanted to be an intern. And I was in the music business program at the time, and you have to have like an internship, so I was like, oh my god, absolutely, can I use it for my college classes? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So I was his intern for a while, did just intern things. And so kind of when that ended, I kind of just became like a manager, like an assistant manager there. So technically Sarah is like under 4-4 Offset Management, that's the name of the company. But yeah, that's kind of how that whole thing started.
That's cool. No, that's very detailed. I love all of it. I like to hear kind of the background of like how people know each other. So thank you for filling us in. That's really
it is
cool.
It is a very weird story.
I love that. It's just
met you on Instagram.
Right. Think about it. Because, if you didn't have Instagram, or that some like serendipitous, like that's just kind of.
I don't know where I would be in life right now if I hadn't have done that. Like it's like, I was watching a TikTok the other day, and one of the guy was talking about how, he was like, can you think of a moment in your life where like your life completely changed in one moment? And I was like thinking about it. I was like, wow. I was like, honestly, like in that moment, I decided to, swipe up and was like, hey, let's be friends. That is definitely like,
And it totally changed your career trajectory in college. Like you said, you didn't know what you wanted to do. And then in that moment, you're like, oh shit, this is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
And here you are. Changed your major, got in the music business program. Like just super cool.
And it actually happened. So that was in September. And I was going the business route, like I said. And I didn't get into Terry the first time because like my accounting grade was really bad. And so I just was planning on like retaking it. And then that happened, and I was like, you know what, maybe I'm on the wrong path. Like maybe I am not doing, because I hated business classes. I never went in. I walked in and like hated my life, and I was so bored all the time. I don't know, but she just showed me her sweaty palm. Everyone, I need you to know that.
Yeah, I'll go into, we'll talk about it later, but why I named this podcast is I'm sweating profusely right now with my hand.
I am also sweating. Okay.
But yeah, we were talking like it's just, we're both nervous. And so sweaty palms is just an ode to being nervous but still pushing through and continuing with your life and doing what you want to do. So sweaty palms is,
and I really like that because I feel like, well, I know that I struggle with like anxiety, and sweaty palms or like sweating hands is a very common thing, and I think it's sending a really good message. I like that you named it that, because it's like, even though you do struggle with sweaty palms, anxiety, or like anything like that, like you can still do what you want to do.
Exactly.
You push through, and you can do it just as much as anyone else can. So
and I feel like honestly it makes you stronger for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What were we talking about before that?
I was talking about why I was just rambling on my life, so I can shut up.
No, that's why we're doing this. You mentioned you were bored in your classes, in your business classes.
Oh yeah. So I was really bored in business classes, and I didn't get into Terry the first time I applied, so I was gonna have to apply again and retake retake accounting. And so I really just didn't like business, just was not me. And I had went to my advisor, and she was like, well, there's a ton of different majors, you can pick a different one. And that scared me because I was a junior in college. Changing your major junior year of college is not fun. And so
I know the feeling all too well.
Yes. And so I eventually picked communication studies, and then she told me about the music business program, because we had this long talk, and she was like, well, what do you want to do? I would like to be in the music industry. Like that's ultimately, like, I kind of decided that point in my life, I decided that I wasn't going to do something that didn't give me like personal fulfillment. Like I would rather not have a ton of money but still be happy versus like going to a 9-to-5 and hating my life, and just I don't know, I want to be not, and like I don't want to use the word happy because that's objective or whatever, but I would really like to live a life that is purposeful and live a life that in the end of the day, I feel like I am making a difference and that I am personally feeling fulfilled. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do comm studies and I will have the music business certificate, which only added a semester onto my college life, which was not bad. And honestly, like, I'm glad I had the extra semester because I didn't graduate in COVID times. Well, it's still COVID times, but like it was really bad back then. And so, you know, that I kind of like just made up my mind. I remember calling my mom and I was bawling. I was like sitting in front of Royal Hall, I think. And that's when I first realized I didn't get in. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like crying and I was like, I just went through this midlife crisis almost. I was like, what am I going to do?
I feel like I've gone through 4 of those in college.
Oh yeah, I've had several. That's just one of them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, then I just honestly decided, I was like, you know what, I'm going to put my foot down and not put my foot down like for anyone else, but like put my foot down for me and decide that I am going to do what I want to do and what is my passion and what drives me and where I can make a difference, because I feel like I can make a difference in the music industry.
That's I can't think of any other better word, but beautiful. I think it's everything you said, I think resonates with so many people, because at the end of the day, we all want to do something that we're passionate about. And the fact that you're chasing after that now and you've decided for yourself that that's what you're going after, that's just very inspiring. So thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
But I'd like to ask now what your role is as a manager. So if you could talk about your experience being a manager for Sarah, what's it like, and how you got into managing for her.
So I'll start out like in the very beginning.
Okay.
How I got into managing her was a funny story. I feel like my whole life right now is just funny stories, like weird serendipitous things. And so when I started my comm classes, one of the first ones I took, I had it with Sarah. And, you know, when the professor goes around the room and she's like, you know, say your name, major, what's your fun hobby?
Talk about anxiety inducing.
Talk about sweaty
palms.
Oh my God. I would start sweating immediately when she said that.
Heart racing.
Like, dude, when I was the next person, I was like, what am I going to say? I wouldn't listen to anyone else because like I had to like create a script in my head, like what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Because I just would freak out. Anyways.
What's that Eminem song?
Oh, it's like palms sweaty.
Mom spaghetti. I can't.
I'm sweaty. Something about knees shaking.
All of the above.
Man,
D.
why can I know this too? I don't know. Okay. D, all of the above.
Yeah.
So everyone went around, like said their thing, and Sarah said music business program. I also said it, and I said it because I knew that I was going to do it, but I had not applied yet, and I literally haven't even looked at the application, but I was like, I know I'm going to do this. I'm just going to say it. And so I said it, and we kind of like made eye contact. And after class, she came up to me and we were talking and like clicked immediately. Like she was really, really cool. And we actually started talking after class like a couple times, maybe like 4 or 5 times. And then one day she came up to me after class and she was like, hey, there's a music business conference in Nashville in like a couple weeks or whatever. She was like, I want to go. Do you want to go with me? And I was like, oh my God, like absolutely, sure. And it's funny because I did not know her. She did not know me. Like we were pretty much strangers. And I was like, yeah, like I'll go to Nashville with a complete stranger. Sure. No problem. And so we got an Airbnb and we spent the whole weekend there. Like made like a weekend trip out of it. Super fun. But while we were there, all of the MBUS alumni got together at this like restaurant / bar thing, and everyone kind of like put name tags on, like walked around and talked.
So kind of like a networking event.
Yeah. So we went and I made couple connections. It was cool. And then I talked to Barbie and I walked up to him and I was like, I haven't applied yet, but I plan on it. I really want to be in the music business program. And he was like, great. He's like, well, tell me about yourself. And so I pretty much just told him that like I am super passionate about music and like, all of these crazy dreams and goals that I have. And afterwards he was like, yeah, like you're in, apply. And I was like, oh, sick. Okay. And so I eventually applied and like obviously got in, but So Sarah and I basically just really, really clicked over the weekend, and we became really good friends. And she knew that I wanted to be in management because we had like obviously talked about it. And we were like sitting in the bed one night, and she was like, she's like, wait, why don't you just be my manager? And at the time, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know anything. Like, she was just finishing the program, and like, obviously, I wasn't even in it yet.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know anything, but yes, I'm just gonna do it. At the time, I was in the Intro to Music Business class, and Dr. Lowry was the professor, and he went around the room and just kind of like asked everyone like what you want to be. And the people who said like artist management, he was like, well, the thing is like you don't have to have any credentials to be an artist manager. You don't have to have like a certain degree or certificate or whatever. He was like, so a lot of the times people's managers are their friend, or it's funny because he's like yeah, like sometimes their manager is a drug dealer because they're really good with money. And I was like, that's...
I remember him mentioning that. Yeah. That was so funny.
I was like, wow, okay,
bold.
Music business certificate.
Yeah.
But, and so he just kind of told everyone, he's like, if you want to be a manager, just start doing it. Like, there's nothing stopping you,
Right. Nike, just do it.
Yeah, Nike, they sponsor me. But so he said, just do it. And I really took that to heart. And so in the conversation with Sarah, she was like, why don't you just be my manager? I was like, oh my God, like, okay, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I will learn on the way. So that is what I have been doing, and I have just been learning and growing. We've been learning and growing together pretty much. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, that's kind of how I became Sarah's manager technically. And what was the part?
No, that was it. Yeah. I was like, how'd you get into managing? You pretty much told the whole story. Yeah. So I guess going off of that, what are the best parts about being a manager in your opinion?
I would say the coolest part is to like listen to unreleased shit all the time, and be a part of something that is like bigger than yourself. And I would say friendship is a really cool part of it that I've, acquired, because Sarah and I are best friends. And I would say probably just the thrill. It kind of sucks sometimes because, when you get no reply, or when you don't get a show, or when you have all of these series of like downs, when you do get those like ups, they are so amazing. I remember my first experience as like a manager at a show is when kind of like shows started happening after COVID again, and we had a show at Smith's Old Bar in Atlanta. That was the first time that I was a manager at a show instead of just like being at a show. I typically run merch, and when I was there, I just felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I had that feeling that I had at Smith's was probably the same feeling that I had whenever I was hanging out with Glenn at Imagine. And in that moment, it was kind of like a clarification almost that like, yeah, I'm on the right path. Like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I'm supposed to be here right now doing exactly this.
What are the most frustrating parts about being a manager, an artist manager?
Everything. No, there are a lot of frustrating parts. Dealing with other musicians is always or is not super great all the time, especially at our level and our age, because everyone has day jobs. So it's difficult to get the band all together, or even get like a response from people sometimes. That's really frustrating. I would say another frustrating part is just getting no's from people, or just not getting a response at all. Because when I first kind of like started learning and figuring it out, I sent like a ton of cold emails, and I would either get like a hey, no thanks, or just no response at all. And it's very I don't know if it's frustrating as much as it is just defeating, you know, because it's, you know, you're doing all that you can and your best, but you still get no response. So that is a little bit frustrating, but it's gotten better as we're growing. You know, when you see a smaller artist doing their best, sometimes it's not like there yet, and so like obviously you're gonna get a no, but you know.
What's been your favorite moment in this journey of you being becoming a manager? Like, can you think of a specific time or point where you were like, this is so cool, or you felt like kind of what you were saying, like, I'm supposed to be here, like this is where I should be?
Yeah. Honestly, probably that Smith show. That was it was so it was amazing, because even though, you know, it wasn't a big show. I mean, it was a big show for us, but it wasn't like huge. It wasn't, you know, completely packed out, but I felt so proud of her. You know, I felt so proud of the band, and, you know, in that I felt proud of myself. And that's the first time in a very long time that I had felt proud, and that I felt like I was doing the right thing, you know, and doing what I was supposed to be doing, and not just, you know, doing things that didn't matter.
Nice. I wanted to ask, just because I think this would be cool to hear, but what's been your favorite concert or performance of Sarah's?
Her 40 Watt show, because, you know, as she gets bigger, we pull a lot more people, and it is just very rewarding to, you know, look around and see people in the room.
This is more of like a personal question, but what does music mean to you? What significance does it hold or have in your life?
Man, music is, it's just everything. It fascinates me. I saw a quote once, and it talked about how, you know, paintings take up space and music takes up time. And time is just in itself fascinating to me. I don't know. But music has been there for me, you know, more than anyone else has. And, you know, I always know that no matter what I'm dealing with, or no matter what point I am in life, I can always listen to my favorite songs, and it'll make me feel better. Or I have a playlist that is called Muse, and it's only Black Bear. Like,
nice.
It is almost 4 hours.
Wow.
And it is just basically his whole discography. But, you know, I think Muse, it's fascinating to me because artists have a way to articulate feelings that I didn't even know that I had. And it just is like the best thing in the world whenever you find a song and you just connect with it, you know. Right. It's like, I might as well have written that, you know. It also just, I don't know, it just helps me through literally everything. I can, even if I'm having a bad day, I can go to music and I'll feel better. Or if I'm having a great day, I can go to music and feel better. You know, making playlists is also super fun. I think I've told you this before, but I have a playlist called The Soundtrack to My Life. And
love that.
It is every song that means a lot to me, or, you know, represents a significant time in my life. And I hope that one day, like, my kids or something, like, will listen to it, or like anyone will listen to it and be like, wow, like, this is her. This is kind of like a part of her. So
that there was something I wanted to touch on though that you said, like, that I think is just the beauty of music too, and it's something that I've also related to, but that you can kind of like, I've had playlists that I made in freshman year of college and I just listened to recently, and they brought me back to that time in my life, or a memory. And I think it's really cool that you can listen to a song and it attaches to whatever you're going through at that point in your life and brings you back there. It's kind of nostalgic in a way.
Oh yeah.
And we've talked about before, but it's really cool to see like how music can like affect you mentally, physically, in all these kinds of ways, and touch you in a way that like you just, nothing else really that I can think of does or can. Like,
no, music is absolutely universal. It is like it's like a universal language, you know. You can put people, you know, in a room from every single country and put on a song and everyone will be able to dance to it, you know.
Right.
You might not know how to dance, but you can dance to it, you know?
Yeah. So I think this would be cool for anybody who wants to start becoming a manager. But to ask you this question, if you could give any piece of advice to someone who wants to manage a band or an artist or in some way get involved in this industry, like what would it be?
Disclaimer, I have a lot to learn still.
Don't we all?
And I have so much room for growth that's still needed, but I have been doing this for a little while. So I would definitely say if you want to start managing a band, starting out, I would make sure you have a good relationship with them, because I think one of what makes what makes managing Sarah so easy sometimes and so beneficial is that we are friends, and that there is a certain level of trust there, that and comfortability, that, you know, she can send me demos and she can send me any idea that she's thinking or that she wants to do, and there's no judgment there, regardless of if I like it or not. She can trust me to tell her no, like if something doesn't sound good, or she can trust me and trust your opinion. And also, if you're like an artist finding a manager, you also want that, you know, you want someone that likes your stuff first of all.
Right. Yeah. Then otherwise it might be the wrong fit.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say that if you want to manage a band, I think there is a part that I kind of struggled with a little bit in the beginning, like separating yourself from that artist. Sometimes I think I squeeze a little too hard and take things a little too personally. But yeah, you just do it, like David Lowry said. I would suggest that you have like a good relationship with them. There is a solid amount of trust there. And I feel like you have to remember that you're advocating for someone, and it's not just, you know, someone that's playing a random instrument. Like, this is someone's art.
Right.
This is someone being completely vulnerable and putting themselves out there. And, you know, you just have to, like, Sarah's music is very emotional. It is her. It is very deep. And, you know, it represents different times in her life. It represents, you know, things that she's gone through. And I take that with, like, not, like, what's the opposite of with a grain of salt? Like, I don't take that with a grain of salt.
You don't take it for granted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is, like, insanely important to her. And so if it's important to her, it's important to me.
Right.
Because essentially what being a manager is you're advocating for your artist. Like, you are advancing their career. So I think trust is, like, probably one of the biggest things to have whenever you, like, decide to manage a band. And for if someone is listening that it was where I was when I started managing, like, don't be scared. I have literally watched every how to manage an artist video. I read like all the Passman books. There's an artist, I took an artist management class, that's helped a lot. So I read that book. Do research on other managers. So, like, if you have, like, your favorite band, a lot of the times manager or information on other managers aren't really out there, because obviously they're not the ones in the spotlight unless you're like Sharon Osbourne, or like Scooter Braun. But just do research on them. see how they've done things. You know, a lot of the times I think, well, I don't know what I was going to say. Never mind.
Okay, so full disclosure, y'all. This is the second time we're recording this because I messed up on getting the audio file out. But I remember when I asked you this question, Bayleigh, you mentioned having thick skin. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's an important point and an interesting one that you'd said before.
Yeah. So you just have to have thick skin, not only to be a manager, but just to be anything in the music industry, because it is a very like cutthroat industry and it's competitive. People have big egos and they're not going to let you stomp all over it.
Right.
And I would say that you have to have thick skin because there are a lot of times, especially when you're starting out, where you're not going to get the respect that you deserve on like a human being level. Mm-hmm. Like not even like, respect is like a CEO, but just respect in general.
So I think this is just a cool question to ask. Kind of relates to like, where do you want to be in 5 to 10 years, or where do you see yourself being? But what would be your dream job working in this industry?
Man, I have so many goals and stuff like that. I really love artist management. I like where it's taken me thus far, and I would like to see where it takes me in the future. So I'm going to continue on this journey, and I would say my dream job would be a manager, because it kind of goes back to like when I was in the music business program. In Barbie's class, every couple weeks we would talk about like a different topic. So we would talk about publicist or a lawyer or a manager, and then each time we would have like a guest speaker, and every single time we had a guest speaker I completely changed my mind. I was like, man, I want to do this, and then like next 2 weeks I would be like, just kidding, I want to do this. And so what I love about management is that you kind of have a hand in like a little bit of everything. And you get to see the whole, I don't know, you get to like not run the whole show, but pretty much you just kind of see everything, and you do a little bit of everything, and that's what I want to do in this industry, is do a little bit of everything.
I feel like your opinion would be very valued too, because you do so much of so many different things for your artists, that your opinion on how somebody else is doing, or like how a song's going, or all this kind of stuff is valued very highly, just because you do so much. So I feel like that's really cool, because you have a lot of, not power I guess, but just influence in what's going on. If that's been like, seems like that's what's your experience has been like.
Well, I feel like my experience is also, it's a little different because it pretty much is just Sarah and I. And so like right now I will make her promo schedules for her releases. I'll make the release schedule for the releases. Right now, lately I've been doing all of the photo shoots for like upcoming singles and stuff like that, which is super fun. And it's also turned on this little like switch in my brain that I'm like, wait, I want to do this.
Yeah, she's really good. I've seen her work. I think she showed me a couple days ago, and I was like, what, is this even edited yet? And she's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, okay, go off, Bayleigh.
Well,
sorry for interrupting.
I am not a photographer by any means, and the camera that I use is literally like my mom's camera that she has had for literally ever. So yeah, but back onto what I was saying, I would love to just continue to be a manager and see where that takes me, because you have like a little bit of insight into the artists, every like facet of the industry. I think that's super amazing. One thing about it that I do absolutely love is watching your artist grow. So when Sarah and I first started, I think she had 1 single out, maybe 2, or maybe 3.
But 4?
No.
5?
Not 4. It was like, I think it was like 1 or 2. But watching her grow not only as a person but as an artist has been amazing. Like just seeing her, like not only her level of skill as an artist, but you know, her branding, which that's something we've been working on tirelessly, yes. But just watching her grow, watching your artist develop into who they're gonna be is something that is absolutely amazing. Her confidence level has also just, you know, shot right through the roof, and I see it, and it's rewarding on so many levels, because as a friend, when you see your friend doing what they love and they're just, you know, I don't know, like I tell her all the time, I'm like, man, like she'll send me like songs, or I'll be doing like a photo shoot or something, and I'm like, wow, like you're just meant to do this. Like you are not meant to do literally anything else. And I am so happy and honored to be able to do, and, you know, not only just watch her grow, but to help her grow. Because I was listening to a podcast once, and one of the guys was talking about how management is making happen what wouldn't otherwise. And everything that I do for Sarah now is like, that's in the back of my head. I'm like, would this happen if I would not have done, not if I wouldn't have done it, like take the ego out of it, but you know, if I can help or advance her career in any way, that's what I'm going to do. And so I really want to be a kick-ass, you know, artist manager with a sick roster and music that I care about. And it's crazy because Sarah's music, I feel on a deep level. Like she sent me a song the other day, and it was like a very like rough, like it was just like a voice recording. She was like, hey, like this is a new song I'm working on, like what do you think? And I cried. It literally made me tear up. Like her songwriting, I'm just gonna plug this, but her songwriting is a phenomenal. And if you haven't listened to her, like not just like listen and like, you know, listen passively, but if you just actively listen to her lyrics, they're so good.
I second that. She knows exactly what she's doing.
She does. And watching her grow and that too. I remember like we were on the way to Nashville, and she was like, oh my God, like, do you want to listen to these songs that I'm working on right now? And I was like, oh, absolutely. And every song I was just kind of like blown away at how I had been there, you know. I had experienced what she had written about. But I want to be an artist manager. I would love to have a pretty big roster. Not a big roster, but, you know, enough that I can handle. And one of my biggest goals is to be a part of a team that starts a music festival. Because that is, like, music festivals kind of opened my eye to the music industry, and they made me fall in love with music more than I already was. Or loved. But yeah, so I would love to start a music festival and have it be, you know, I don't really care if it gets as big as like Bonnaroo, but, you know, as long as it is, you know, sustainable, then that's gonna be enough for me. But I really just want to make a difference. I want to help the future females of the industry. I want to help people that, you know, are like me, that didn't really know what they wanted to do in life, and find it through music, hopefully. But yeah, I would love to do that. And the reason I think I would like to have a music festival or be a part of a music festival, like starting it, is because if I could curate an experience like a music festival has done for me, then I would feel so fulfilled personally. Because when you walk into like Bonnaroo, so when you walk into Centeroo, you just like enter this portal, and it's like a new world. There's no judgment. You can be who you want to be. You can, you know, just do whatever you want to do. No one is there to hurt you or, you know, judge you. And I think that's beautiful. And I honestly found myself, I think, through going to different music festivals. And so if I can make that happen for someone and hopefully help them at all in life, you know, whether I know it or not, if I personally know them or if I don't, I definitely want to do that.
I think that that would be such a cool thing to do, just to be able to lift other people up and you doing what you love and then helping other people succeed in what they want to do too.
Oh yeah,
which is really nice.
When I am successful and like have the money,
I love that. When I am, not if. When I am,
you gotta manifest it. Like you have to speak in the present.
100%.
I do affirmations on a daily basis, and I'm like, I am rich. I am wealthy.
Yes,
I am
ma'am.
mentally stable. Because you just have to. But something that I would love to do is, you know, when I'm older and like kind of like set in my career, I would love to create a scholarship for the music business program, because I would just love to help someone like me, because it is hard to work and support yourself and go to school. And so if I could help someone in the same position that I was in, then I would absolutely do it in a heartbeat.
If you weren't doing something with music, what other career path do you think you'd be pursuing?
I don't think I ever want to get away from music, because it is something that I love and will always love. I would love to go back to school and get a degree in psychology, and then pursue music therapy, because like I said, it is just so powerful, and on like a deep level, like different frequencies like are a real thing that help you out, and can change like your mood. I think we've all, you know, like I can listen to a sad song and I'll be sad, or I can listen to a super happy song and it depends on how sad I am, but like I can be happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would probably go into like music therapy, and that's honestly, that's something that I've thought about a lot, actually. I wouldn't go back to school now because I want to, you know, kickstart this part of my life, but later on, when my goals are completed, and I'm at a good place in life, I would definitely go back to school and do that.
That's why I was actually a psych major, because wasn't initially why, but I'm like, what can I do with psych? Because I do want to do something where I feel like I'm giving back, and I always found it really interesting, you know, learning about why we do the things that we do and what makes us tick and all that kind of stuff, and psych is like right up there with that. To transition into the last part of this interview, there's something called the lightning round, where I'll ask you a series of questions. You'll have to choose between two things and just say off the top of your head what you would choose. Like, don't even think, just do. You know what I mean? Okay. Headphones or speaker?
Headphones.
Nice.
You have a very surreal experience sometimes.
Concert or festival? I know I picked the wrong one because you really want it. You're like, I need to explain this. You just got to say one. Or you can explain it because I liked, just explain it.
Okay, because like I can't both. Like I can't choose. Concerts are, to me, really cool if you go see, you know, whatever, because it's a very intimate crowd, and like their sets usually are different. You know, like a festival set is different than like mostly EDM usually, but their set is a little bit different, and it's just so intimate, and you know, it focuses around that artist, and I think it's really cool. But festivals, I would say the atmosphere and the environment is the best thing I have ever experienced, because you know, like I said earlier, it's just, you feel completely safe. I think that's like the best way to describe it. But I would say both to that question.
All right. Vinyl or streaming?
Streaming. I feel like you just have more at your fingertips.
I like that too.
But also like a good album. Man.
Yeah, I know.
That is the best.
Do you have any cool projects coming up that you would like to talk about?
I do actually. So, Sarah's got a ton of stuff in the works right now. Most of it's done, but it's not going to come out yet. Next month in March, we have a single coming out. It is called Something. And I'm super excited for that. And she actually is in the process of an album. So her debut album will come out.
Wow.
Yes.
Exciting.
It's very exciting towards the end of the year, middle end of the year. So stay tuned. We've got a single coming out pretty much every month until then. Her Spotify is Sarah Mootz. Her Instagram is Sarah Mootz. You can go to sarahmootz.com.
Yeah.
We have got it all. So stay tuned. We have got some super fun stuff coming up.
And do you want to plug yourself too? Like mention all your handles if anybody wants to follow the fabulous Bayleigh.
Oh, sure. If you would like to. My Instagram is just Bayleigh Hataway. You can follow my Spotify if you want. It is just Bay. When I search it though, it doesn't come up, but it's just like a picture of me. So
I'll have all the links to everything in the description of this episode. So if you want to follow Sarah, Bayleigh, everybody, I'll have all their socials down below. And if you also follow my Instagram page, I'll have all that linked in this next episode. I want to thank you so much for coming on here and re-recording this with me. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm going to get better.
My answers were better this time.
It was great. We were so nervous the first time. I think we needed this. So
yes.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. You're
this
like the
so
perfect
fun.
guest, I have to say. You answer everything so well and give a lot of thought to it. So
I have thought about it a lot. Disclaimer though, I have so much room to grow. But this is just my experience from where I started until now.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Stay tuned for next week. I'm interviewing another good friend of mine, an artist here in Athens. Her name is Aisha, and if you want to learn about what it's like making your own music and what her experience has been and the type of music she listens to and a cool project that she's doing coming up, stay tuned and check in next week. And I'm going to leave y'all with a little preview of Sarah's new single coming out next month called Something.
Is there something that you wanna hear? There's something that you wanna tell me. I know there's something that you wanna hear.